News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Welcome to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning.
I'm Allan Gilreath of darkhookmedia.com.
And I'm Maximilian with a holiday and a friendly reminder. Happy Clean Your Floors Day.
Okay.
It's not national, international, or anything because floors are always dirty everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, even if you have a dirt floor, Allan, I mean, what do you
Literally
do there?
dirty.
Yeah. Or is a dirt floor self-cleaning? You know what I'm saying? You spill your drink on there, it sort of absorbs.
That is a thousands of year old question.
Okay.
All right. Let's go to the leftover from what you just said.
Okay.
It is in everybody's house, and you never really thought of it.
Yeah.
Why is it called a threshold?
I know.
I know, because I've listened to Tool Talk Radio before, but
All right.
okay.
I'm looking at Max.
Does it have to do with harvesting with wheat?
Well, we took the rough stems,
The thresh.
and we put them on the floor to make you have a nice, soft walking surface, also absorptive.
Right.
And you had a little block of wood or something across the front to keep the thresh in the house.
Okay.
Is that a similar logic behind having like straw matting as your surface instead of just something that's less absorbent?
Well, you're now just walking through the progression. So we went from thresh, basically dirt floors with thresh on them, to now, especially over in Asia, your specialty, you started getting into the woven straw mats.
Like the Tommy.
And on other parts of the world, you had the giant palm fronds, and other parts of the world, we started getting into rugs, and we started getting into closed surfaces for floors. So welcome to the progression.
This
All
seems,
the way to modern time, and we still have all of the above being used.
This seems very relevant, Joe, to something that's in your house recently.
I don't know. I've already lost track of where we're at because I think we just set a record, Max. That was like 2 minutes of digression just on the holiday of the day.
But it was relevant.
I think Clean Your Floors Day is going to play a role for sure because I have questions, Allan, relevant questions. But anyway, If you've got questions or comments, or if you're celebrating Clean Your Floor Day by, I don't know, going and buying a new Swiffer or a new mop, get in touch with us. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline, 901-683-0989. You can even send us a picture of your new mop, and because we get pictures there. Yeah, absolutely. Check us out. Go over to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page. We've already made a few posts, including our must-have item. No, I don't want to lead with that. Including our great moments in building history, which is pound for pound the most expensive home in the world, Allan. It's not even close. This home costs $2,000 per square inch.
Yes.
And, of course, we're talking about the Astolat Castle dollhouse. It's a little bit of a departure. I can't say I'm a big fan of dollhouses or something, but you can't help but admire the craftsmanship.
The only thing I care about with that, a dollhouse is the fact that it's associated with mythology, but I'm not going to say what.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But making something small is much harder. I mean, I don't know what it takes to do some of the work they've done on this. So, hey, real quick, though, speaking of impressive things in small packages, a big shout out to Simone Biles, who has now become the most decorated gymnast in history. You talk about pound for pound, she's probably the strongest person in the world.
Oh, she could bench press you easily.
A car. I mean,
she is
very impressive.
I will give gymnasts a massive, massive prop in that, honestly, them and the participants in like the rowing events are honestly probably the strongest people you will ever meet.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, I know, of course, every Olympics has its drama, but there's also some really, really great stories coming out of this year's Olympics. Yeah. So, absolutely. But, and speaking of keeping in theme here, speaking of impressive things in small packages, on this week's Critter Wars, I just happened to come across, sometimes on Facebook you actually get interesting posts. Somebody posted a microscopic view of a mosquito's head.
Yes.
I was shocked and I was impressed but stunned at what we're looking at here and what we're up against in Critter Wars. So we're going to discuss that. If you want to go to our Facebook page, see what I'm talking about. It is a remarkably complex creature for something so small, So, but Allan, today we also want to talk about appliances. My wife and I are getting very tempted by these all-in-one washer and dryer combos.
Right.
You've seen those. They're sort of, I would still say, newer technology. They're still being developed, and you've got a little more experience with those. And we also think it's a good opportunity because we were talking about it yesterday. Our appliances really have changed ever since the advent of the smartphone and having an app, basically having an app for every
Yes.
appliance these days. And so in terms of listener participation, if you've come across an appliance that you're just really, it's changed your life, or maybe one that was overhyped and you're a little disappointed with it, we'd love to talk about appliances today. So get in touch with us, like we said, at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline, 901-683-0989. But it will be an appliance-heavy conversation. And in your Allan's Week in Review, it sounds very civilized. Doesn't sound like it was too much of a problem at all, right?
Of everything from completely furniture decorating through again another bathroom being finished out in concrete board.
Okay.
And another little round of one of my favorite things, a little landscaping.
Okay. Well, so it's all there on the table. But Allan, Max brought it up, and now I wanna just. I always have a hot take. I will say this, Max. You know, a lot of times your holidays get me thinking. Oh, I'm sorry. Before I get to that, I just want to make I just want to say one thing before we dive into that. Last week was Bagpipe Appreciation Day, and I want to change my vote. Max, I think I voted for, what was it, John Farnham's.
Yes.
I want to change my vote in terms of epic bagpipe music. I want to change it to The Parting Glass, which is the final song in that movie Waking Ned Devine. Have you ever seen that?
Oh, excellent choice.
It's called The Parting Glass by, I believe, the Waterboys play that. And if you want a fun movie and you want to learn a little bit about the Irish vibe.
If you want a movie that's just painfully Irish,
it's as Irish as can be. And my mom, was born in Tipperary, so I appreciate stuff like that. But that's my new vote, and it plays the way I don't want to give it away, but that's my vote.
It crescendos very heavily.
Right, exactly. But Max had said it. Today's Clean Your Floor Day. Well, that's not just a throwaway idea, there, Allan.
No, there's a lot involved in that.
I do have a question because I had young children, and like many people do, and there's always a question: how clean should the floor be? And because some germs are actually beneficial to us, right? And we don't want to get rid of all the germs, but we also don't want our kids crawling around on something that's going to get them sick.
You don't want them rolling around a little parvo Ebola down there, right?
I was just going to, if we had enough time, I was going to give a little bit of the history of cleaning stuff and everything. But what you said with regards to good germs makes me think of the unsavory ingredient that used to be used as a bleach or a lye.
Okay.
Urine.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we've heard that.
Healthy germs.
Okay.
Well, all right. In the tradition of cleaning, especially in Europe, we have gone from one extreme to the other. Why did everybody get married in June? Because you didn't smell so bad yet.
Was that bath month or something?
You had spring showers. And everybody was still fairly fresh, and then you didn't get too horrible.
You're a little bit more comfortable saying, I'm kissing the bride when she's not stinky.
Yeah.
Well, you said, history smelled bad. I mean, let's just be honest.
Oh my gosh, that is one of my favorite comments when I do talks, and we start talking about history. It's kind of like, all right, you guys all do know, up until your grandparents, there was no BO control.
Yeah, you're wearing a suit of armor out in the middle of August.
Surprised you didn't die from heat stroke.
No kidding.
Oh, yeah. You can, oof. So, all right. One, your body is covered in microbes. I don't care how clean you are. I don't care if you just got out of the shower. And I know you're sitting there enjoying your coffee this morning, but guess what? You're covered in critters.
Yeah.
And most of them are critters that you fairly don't care about. Now, we do have a few that cause odors. That would see any number of commercials by crazy doctors that just invented some kind of cream to people that specialize in BO control.
Right.
Because you can't turn on the TV now without something going, hey, spray this all over you, because all over you stinks. So
Old Spice.
Yeah,
gosh.
thank you.
Every
Thank you,
YouTube video I watch, you get one of those.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, all right. So we know it's a thing. Now, we've also had a huge dive into biotics, because now suddenly everybody figured out, stuff needs to live inside you to be healthy.
Yeah, it's not good to just wipe everything out, right?
Right. Because, there's actually a hospital superbug called C. diff, it's its common name, that happens after an antibiotic kills off too many of the good things in your gut.
Right.
And it lets a bad thing grow. So then you got to fix that. So welcome to keeping things clean. There is somewhere out there a balance between you and your environment. If you are not exposed to things, because we had kind of a going into the 2010s and somewhere around in there, we started getting a little too clean. And children started developing allergies to things that were actually fairly common.
Because they had no exposure to it, because everything was getting sanitized. So, yeah.
So there is a balance. No, you don't want to go play out at the dump to boost your metabolism, but you also don't need to live in a completely pristine, clean environment.
I mean, maybe you don't.
Max, Max, I don't know if you can relate to what Alan and I probably grew up with. Alan, I can tell you, man, when we were kids, we'd go to the lake.
Yeah.
Some dumpy lake, we'd find logs, we'd pick up snapping turtles, we'd do whatever.
You go
never wash your
swimming.
hands.
Yeah.
That reminds me of Stand By Me. I thought when all the kids got leeches.
That wasn't uncommon.
Let's just go dive in the lake.
Getting bug bit and dirty and sweaty and,
Yeah.
And that was just part of being us.
I envy you, but at the same time, I don't.
No. All right. Well, we envy you, listeners, because you're in for an interesting show. So stay tuned here on Tool Talk Radio.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
When my new apprentice arrives, he will take care of you.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
I want this apprentice to clean my floors.
Yeah. Oh, he'll take care of it.
He'll
Believe
clean
me.
your clock, too.
And we'll come back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning. Here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989, especially if you want to swap stories about all the germ-infested activities you did as a kid when you were growing up that, hey, you're no worse for the wear, or I guess, I don't know.
Time will tell.
Yeah, maybe you've got some rash that we don't know about or something. But no, I mean, we did a lot of things back in the day, Alan, and I mean, we're still here, knock on wood, because today is Clean Your Floors Day. It's not just a throwaway holiday. I mean, there's probably, like Alan said, there's a balance. If you sanitize every single thing in your house, you're not going to develop any immunities. Some bacteria we actually need. Some is beneficial. But
like I said, I'm not sure if we have time for this, but I certainly would love to kind of mention some of the cleaning agents.
All right, go ahead before we move on to the high-tech stuff.
Well, let's you and I pick on that for just a second, because the moment we began having finished floors, whether they were tile, stone, or wood, well, now you've got to clean it. And we have been through an amazing number of different ideas. And now here's the fun part that's going to bake your mind, Max. More than 100 years ago, you didn't run down to the local corner store and buy some floor cleaner.
You made it yourself.
You ended up making a lot of this stuff yourself. So tag.
Tag. Let's go back to 2800 BC when the Egyptians added alkaline salts to their personal fats in order to help make the soaps for using for baths and cleaning surfaces.
Yep.
And then we jump forward to, as you said, this is when popular floor choices, I guess, started becoming a little bit more of an industry. You have a man by the name of Herbert Minton who revives the idea of like tile making in England, which became a popular floor choice back in the day. And then, of course, we get to the Johnsons, like B.J. Johnson, who developed palm olives back in 1898, which would later become the popular pine sol.
Interesting. It's always interesting to learn that this stuff always goes back to the 1800s. How many businesses do we have from the 1800s that are still around and still relevant?
A lot.
Shredded wheat was made in the 1800s. There's all sorts of. That's interesting.
Well, they used to also have animal fat fights.
Yeah, even up during World War II, I guess they used animal fats because you had to conserve for the boys fighting overseas.
Mm-hmm. Right, and the old idea was the animal fats were rendered down and used as a basic ingredient in soap.
I mean, if you already
any soap,
already got it, might as well use it.
But welcome to all of these different ideas, and the whole idea was basically to separate yourself from the damp earth.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're trying to make our lives that much simpler and cleaner, and that much easier on us. And this way, you can walk around in your socks and not worry about stubbing your toe on a tree root or some horrible thing happening.
However, there's still Legos you could stub your feet on.
Oh
right.
Yeah, well that's a modern scourge if you've ever stepped on one of those things.
Okay.
So Clean Your Floors Day is important, and then you get into. Then we get into building preservation and restoration, because there is nothing like, and I got to tell you, this is for anybody out there thinking of renovating a home, and you're going to go buy an old fixer-upper. I got to tell you, one of the greatest experiences in the world is pulling up that 1950s through 1980s carpet and discovering that they carpeted over a real hardwood floor.
Oh, yeah. Nothing horrifies,
oh
decorators
my God!
more.
You just,
so,
but it's such it's like finding pirate gold.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, look at this! What's under here?
Right.
And I will tell I've told the story before, but one of the prettiest floors we ever worked on ever. We pulled up the carpet, and the carpet had carpet beetles, and they had just eaten this carpet to pieces. But they had also chewed on the very top layer of the hardwood floor, which made this look like the most bizarre and interesting tattoo you've ever seen in your life.
Oh,
it was this amazingly intricate pattern. So when we sanded the floor, we made sure we sanded it just enough to get it smooth, but we left the pattern.
Oh, yeah, because there's a story behind this floor.
Oh, my gosh. It was the most beautiful floor we ever restored. So there's a lot to clean your floors.
Okay, cool. And that's on the table, folks. Keep that. That's going to be one of the running themes. What, Max?
Can I? I'm gonna add something. This has nothing to do with cleaning your floors, but your discussion about immunity. It's sort of a parting thought.
Okay.
And I encourage more listeners to kind of talk about their childhoods like this too. I want to thank Patrick. He said, I drank creek water on the regular as a kid. Now I have a robust immune system.
I bet he does.
Okay, wait. Patrick said that he drinks creek. Okay, we're not going that
creek
far.
Water as a kid.
It would have to be a pretty darn clean. Where did you live, man? In
the
mountains of Colorado or something?
If he lived downstream from Jack Daniels, he had one of the prettiest creeks in the world.
Okay.
I'm not going to get into too specifics, but his area code is 567 Ohio.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, he had a good natural spring up there. So.
You better. Okay, I'm not going that far, Allan, because you don't know what they were doing upstream.
Well, hopefully there was a cattle farm and he wasn't getting giardia.
Well, that's what we're looking for. So, Patrick, we appreciate you sharing that.
We salute you, sir. We salute you.
Especially if you did some really, if you were growing up in the era Allan and I grew up in, you were sent out of the house. They didn't want to see you till dinner time, and you got into all sorts of mischief. So,
they put you out till dark.
Yeah,
we've been dragging this thing through the opening segment for longer than historical.
Okay.
And by the way, Patrick says he lived south of Toledo.
South of Toledo.
Awesome.
Okay, so all right. Well, Patrick, thanks for chiming in on that, man. And it sounds like he's no worse for the wear. So
he's doing
Time
good.
will tell.
Okay. Hey, I want to shift gears. It's still out there. Feel free to weigh in throughout the show on your dirty adventures. I get your well, let's not say that.
Being a dirt squirt.
Yeah, just playing outside in the good old germs and everything. But Allan, so I'm really, I've been keeping my eye on this. We always one of the benefits, I guess, for me is I'm always about, like I said, 6 or 7 or 8 years or maybe 10 years behind the latest technology, which the benefit is it usually gives them time to work out all the kinks and perfect it. And it's usually cheaper by the time I come along. Like I didn't have a smartphone until 2016.
Oh, we know.
Yeah,
Believe
so I'm
me.
just saying. But my wife and I are really keeping an eye on this new technology. It's the all-in-one washer and dryer.
Mm-hmm.
And folks, if you haven't seen this, that's good, Max. So if you haven't seen this, it's basically what it says. It's a washer and dryer all together. So you stick your clothes in, it washes them, then it switches to the dry cycle, and in a couple hours, it's completely finished. Generally, these things are much heavier and they're a little bit taller, and they're also deeper, which we're going to discuss in a minute. But the big thing for me, Alan, is that there is no drain, there's no vent. You know, with a dryer, you have that 4-inch or 6-inch pipe that vents out. And the reason this is appealing to us is because we live in an older home, and in a lot of the homes like ours, the washing machine is basically in a closet in our kitchen.
Right.
And the dryer is upstairs in another room. So every time we want to do our laundry, because we haven't built a laundry room yet, that hasn't been on our priority list. But if we could suddenly have this thing where you throw it in and you're done, I guess I was trying to figure out, where all the water goes. I'm assuming it goes down the drain somehow. But also, I wanted to talk about these because we watched a lot of videos about these, doing extensive reviews, and it sounds like the technology is steadily improving, but we're wondering if we need to wait a year or two, or I don't know. We wanted to round table it, though, and get your thoughts on the all-in-one washer and dryer.
Joe, you are now completely safe at saying you are generally late to the table.
Yeah. No, I know. I admit it.
The blended machine, I think, first showed up around 1953, 1955.
Okay, well, let's get who was buying these things. I mean, now I think they're more
them.
popular in Europe, where they have less space in there. So, okay.
All right, well, let's take 30 seconds and let's get up to date as to why this machine exists.
Okay.
One, the washer. Now, let's freely confess, we go back to the 1800s, and hand washing clothes is a massive task.
Sure.
And the more kids you got, the more massive the task. And I mean, so basically, when we said cooking and cleaning took up all day, it did. It was a full-time job.
Yeah.
Because trying to get this stuff done. And then the dryer, especially here in the South, was outside. You went and hung clothes up on a line.
Yeah.
Because I am old enough to remember the
Some
sheets
people still like
out on the line.
the fresh.
And I have a very good friend that lives for hanging stuff up outside on the line.
Well, if I may, real quick, there's two benefits. I didn't realize this till I got older, but when you hang your clothes on the line, of course, you get that fresh air dry. They're not going to shrink, but also the vitamin D from the sun is killing bacteria, even as
well, that would be the UVC rays.
Okay,
not the vitamin D. That's
whatever
what you
call
get
it
when you get in the sun.
But that's a benefit too. It makes your clothes cleaner,
and it also makes them stiffer.
Yeah,
because drip drying is definitely a process. Okay, so the washing machine, the washing process, we had tubs, we had wringers. We finally got a machine that would wash it and sling it. That was the important part, because when you wash the clothes, you got to wring them out.
Well, the spin cycle is what you're talking about.
That spin cycle was the hard part of the washing machine. So now we have numerous brands that all do a beautiful job, and we'll talk about their counterpart when we come back.
Yeah, exactly. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
I could get a fish for a 5-cent worm.
Oh, you're paying way too much for worms, man. Who's your worm guy?
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
I think someone just put a microphone in front of Patrick.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I advise my kids, when you get out into the real world, make sure the first thing you do is get a worm guy. You need to...
What, you don't have one?
No.
What's wrong with you?
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-5785. 0989. We also invite you to check out the posts we've made over on the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page. One is going to be, it might shock you a little when you scroll down and it suddenly looks you in the face. We posted a microscopic view of a mosquito's face, and gosh, I had no idea what they actually look like. You just think of them as these little irritating creatures that bite you and suck your blood, but holy smokes, are they complex.
And I have a little bit of an addendum to the mosquitoes sucking blood. It's only females that suck blood in order to feed their children. Men, and the male ones only have like sap, pollen, or fruit.
Well, what do they do all day?
They're not having to sustain babies.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So what are they actually providing?
What do you think they're doing?
They're sitting around on the couch watching.
I'm not saying
they need to get off their Kadiddlehofer.
I'm going to let you sink into that one yourself.
I don't know. I'm just trying to say. I mean, it sounds like the women do all the work in that situation.
They're the warriors.
So, okay.
They're literally draining blood.
Well, we want them dead regardless, all of them. So, but anyway, that's going to be on the table in our Critter Wars discussion. But in a minute, we're going to return to our discussion about appliances because we're very tempted by an appliance that's out on the market right now. Before we do that, though, and it is state-of-the-art technology. Well, speaking of state-of-the-art technology, though, we also want to talk about our good buddy Larry Brown with Brown Refrigeration, because that's what he is all about. Brown Refrigeration has been in the HVAC game we're getting close to the 50-year anniversary. This is all Larry. This is his primary focus, and as such, they've created a great business culture. And when it comes to your HVAC system, there's fewer things more important in your home than that. It regulates the air. It's air conditioning. It regulates humidity, which is a huge deal right now. I mean, I don't know about you, Alan. At my house, the doors, they swell up in the summer. My front door, it gets harder to open in the summer because there's that humidity playing a role. But nobody handles that situation better than Brown Refrigeration. It's a great idea to get them out to your home once or twice a year for a tune-up. The tune-up costs next to nothing, and they can inspect your system and make sure everything's working as it should, and the visit basically pays for itself. But also what that allows for you is to troubleshoot and make sure that you may have to. They may point out things where you may have to get a new system in a few years, and if you do, there's nobody better than Brown Refrigeration because they work with trained systems. They also work with the Remy Halo system, which is using the UV power of the sun to create the cleanest air possible for your home. And also, Larry Brown is always ahead of the curve when it comes to staying up on the latest technology with when it comes to refrigerant. Folks, if you're not aware, Larry told us that starting in 2015, there's going to be a new refrigerant on the market, and that's going to affect all of our HVAC systems. So it's not a bad idea to schedule an appointment with Brown Refrigeration. Get them out there, get ahead of the curve on this, and make sure your HVAC system is working well. And also, they have great financing. So there's nobody better than Brown Refrigeration for all your HVAC needs. You can call them directly at 901-362-1881 or go to their website, brownref.com. Well, if you're just tuning in, I had mentioned that my wife and I are becoming very tempted by there's this, it's for lack of a better term, it's called the all-in-one washer and dryer combo. You may have seen them if you've been to your big box store recently. There's, when we first went, I don't know, a year ago, Alan, there was only one model. Now they have 3 different brands out there. They're expanding, and we've watched a lot of videos about the pros and cons of these things. They do function a little differently. There's there's definitely an app for these. There's people.
Oh yeah.
There's which is interesting. I just wanted to throw one thing out there real quick. There's one that they made a point of. So let's suppose you've got a load of wash. You throw it in there. Right. You can set it and say, well, you know what? I want this load of wash to run at 2 a.m. And somebody may say, well, why would you do that? Well, apparently in certain parts of the country, I don't know if it's true here, electricity is cheaper if you run it at certain hours of the day. I'm assuming what they're trying to do is distribute it so during the peak hot hours of the day, you don't have everybody adding I don't know if that's something to do with it, but
well, actually, it does quite a bit to do with it because in commercial settings of if you go over a certain usage, your rate will change.
Yeah.
Or in other areas you want to avoid peak, competing with peak air conditioner time, or possibly having your electrical system go into a brownout situation.
Right. Yeah.
These machines use a lot of power and do what they do. Washing machines definitely use a lot less power. But dryers, especially the electric heating elements, use a massive amount of power.
Okay, well, this is the thing. This is true with all the ones we saw that were reviewed on YouTube. Which there's a guy that's all he does. He reviews his appliance. Well, apparently these new ones are way more energy efficient. He said these things run next to. I mean, they're not free, but they're so inexpensive that these are. And I think they use heat pump technology. Now, apparently heat pump technology goes back to the 1800s or something out. But
it does.
They're saying these things are extremely energy efficient. What appealed to me, as I said before the break, was that there's no dryer vent. Because we have a situation, if we were to get one, we could put this in our kitchen pan in our closet.
Right.
And we wouldn't have to vent anything, which I love that idea. But what's allowing that? That's what I guess I'm wondering where all the water is going. Is it going down the drain? Or because the way they showed it, it was almost like a recirculation process. And they said these clothes are getting dry. I mean, they're really getting fully dry.
Yeah, well, let's tackle how the dryer itself actually works. The dryer is really nothing more than a belt, a tub, really just something to make the clothes tumble and force hot air.
Right.
So if you take a dryer apart, there's not that many parts. There's a couple of sensors. There's a heat element. There's, they're not drastically complex devices, but, it took electricity to come along to make this usable.
Right.
And, we've only really been in the electric dryer business since around 1840. So, the dryer is kind of new on the scene.
Right.
Now, we love to combine things. And this just seems to be that natural combination. But you basically have a machine that is now in complete contradiction to itself.
What do you mean?
The washing machine is all about water management.
Mm-hmm.
A dryer is about forced hot air in and exhaust management.
Right.
Because it's got to go somewhere. So,
yeah.
Welcome to this new idea. The new idea, now, you're not raising 5 kids anymore. 8 kids, 10 kids, 2 kids. You're now pretty much you and your wife.
Yeah.
So the more you combine things, the more you are sacrificing certain aspects of it.
Yeah. Okay.
So you are not going to get the giant commercial Norge tub in this thing. It's not that big. It's pretty much the size of a standard washing machine.
Well, let me throw.
So you're not going to have a load washing and a load drying. You're not going you're not going to be moving high volumes.
Well, let me just throw this at you. This is the first thing I thought about is okay, because I always think about how are these things going to age? Like, for one thing, I was thinking, how do the gaskets hold up? Because you're dealing with not only water, but then it's going to heat up. And are the gaskets that are keeping the water out going to get dry and crispy and all that? The other part that I thought was actually an advantage is, washing machines can get funky. They can get mildewy because they're holding moisture. Well, to me, this sort of solves that issue because you run the washing machine, it's all wet, and then you're drying it out as you go. So I don't know. There's a lot of pros and cons involved, and we're gonna wrap up our thoughts about that when we come back here on Tool Talk Radio.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
I made my first chair when I was 5, but the quality of the wood was wanting.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
I wonder what kind of wood he used. Some woods are more suitable than others.
Balsa.
Yeah, that was probably his first mistake. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. We also invite you to go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page and check out the posts we've made over there. I guess there's a theme emerging today, Alan. Today is Clean Your Floors Day, which got us on the discussion of getting the useful germs and then the germs you don't want in your house. And then we went high tech, and we're talking about the latest in technology for cleaning your clothes. And it sounds like we've got a caller on the line, right, Max?
Correct. We got Gerald on the line.
Gerald, how's it going this morning?
It's going good. I finished my biscuit.
Oh, good.
Well, during the break, I was going to be able to finish my biscuit.
Yeah, don't be eating your biscuit on the phone, man. Nobody wants to hear that. But what's up, Gerald? What are you doing today, man?
I'm good. Listen, that dryer is a heat pump, and so therefore it uses less electricity.
Mm-hmm.
But because of that, instead of being electric strips, the other thing, because there was one installed in a condo that we did air conditioning work in downtown, and because the dryer vents can only run a certain amount of feet by code, then you have to put a booster fan in.
Oh, right.
And so we did all that work, put a booster fan in and everything, and then the guy told me to put that thing in. So I got to see one. So it's the first one I'd actually seen. And so I Googled it and checked it out a little bit. But yeah, it's a heat pump. And here's the thing. You don't have a dryer vent that can get stopped up with lint.
Well, that's what appealed to me, Gerald, because our house, we have basically we have an older home. So our washing machine is like on the first floor, the dryer's on the second floor. So if we could just have that all in one, that would be, that's what I was hoping, so.
And I mean, that's the thing. All you got to do is have a water line, the electricity, and a drain, and you can have that thing anywhere in your house.
Now, all the reviews I saw, they were saying, okay, they do have the lint traps are a little more robust, let's say, like the ones I've saw. It's almost a two-step. There's the first level to stop the big lint, then there's the second level, and they say you have to be very diligent about cleaning because even with all that, some lint can still get through, and that's your enemy, right, Alan? You wanna keep that lint out. So
yeah. Well, and the other thing is about having it come on at 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
So you think about it, it goes through the wash and the dry cycle. You get up in the morning, your clothes just finished drying, so they're wrinkle free. Grab them all, put them up, whatever. I mean, you think about it, you could actually put this in if you got a big bedroom closet, you could put it in there, and then all of a sudden you're just putting all your clothes up.
Yeah.
You don't have to go anywhere.
I'm thinking, yeah, there's probably a lot of unique properties, especially when you start getting into these downtown locations where you have to shoehorn in, a washing machine anywhere you can. We're trying to decide whether it's time to pull the trigger now or if we should wait a year or two to let the technology. Well, where do you stand with this, Gerald? Would you get one of these babies?
Well, I know the one I saw was it's called the Miele, the Miele. And I know enough about that company and their appliances. It's going to be top notch. I don't think you would have any problems. So, the only thing is, make sure you got an extended warranty or whatever.
Oh yeah.
But I see it. They like say it. I see it. It's there. The biggest thing is that everybody, it's going to put a dent in your pocketbook.
Out of the gate, it kind of does. But they say the savings on electricity are pretty substantial. So,
it's the same way with us in the air conditioning business. When you and I know Larry Brown will agree with me with this. The higher efficiency of your air conditioning equipment, obviously the better the return. So you take your basic builder model equipment versus a 25 SEER unit.
Mm-hmm.
You tend to get, after the fifth year, you are now the first 5 years basically pays for the difference of the cost between that builder grade and that high end.
Right.
And then you start making your money back on the utilities on that next 5 years.
Yeah, and
all that equipment usually has 10-year warranty.
Well, the thing too, Gerald, for me is there's a certain thing for peace of mind. Who wants to be changing your washing machine every 2 years or whatever? So I mean, the peace of mind of knowing that the thing works and it's a lifestyle improvement. You just throw your clothes in, like you say, and you're done. You can go out and you come home and they're all finished. You don't. I know it's a little thing to have to throw your clothes into a dryer, Alan, but what the heck? It's one more convenience. It's one more thing you don't have to do. But well, Gerald, so if you were me, would you go ahead and pull the trigger and get one of these babies?
Might as well. I mean, hell, they put Teslas on the market and everybody started buying them.
Well, I think my plan's going to be. I've been told by sources that the best time to buy appliances is the 4th of July and then the Black Friday sale. So I think that's what we'll do. We'll ramp up, save our pennies, and then go ahead and get one of these for the Black Friday sale. But Gerald, thanks for calling in, man. We really appreciate you listening to Tool Talk. So.
Yeah, and I get a kick when I get to hear y'all during the week with pitch. So
Oh yeah. Well, Allan, the food dude, he's there every Thursday. So.
Yeah. Well, and I need to talk to Allan because I've got an idea that I'm gonna do for the 901 football game. The first Memphis football game, tailgate game.
Oh, send us a text, man. Send us a text. I'll get back with you.
Yeah, Gerald, get Max your contact info, send us a text, and Allan will get in touch with you when he's off the air. So,
okay, all right.
Great talking to you, man. Thanks again. Okay. Thanks, Gerald. All right. Well, that's cool. So I think he endorsed my idea. Yeah,
all right. Well, let's talk about the downside.
Okay.
Let's talk about how this thing actually works because he is 100% right. This is a heat pump.
Okay, what is a heat pump?
All right,
that's important.
Heat pump works a little differently than a standard. All right, your car has a radiator. Mm-hmm. Your radiator gets nice and hot. Well, guess what? If we run some air tubes around that and blow them in the car, you got heat.
Yeah.
So you're not having to put in additional elements.
You're just using the heat that's already there.
You're using what's already there. So,
okay.
All right, so have that kind of the basic idea of your heat pump. Now, where does the water go? If you think about your AC unit, and we've talked to Larry Brown about this a bunch of times, about how much water those cooling fins actually produce. It's tremendous.
Right.
All right? Well, let's put those cooling fins in your dryer. So now we have got an exchanger that's pulling the water off, and the air that is being exhausted is cool air, not hot air.
Right.
The air
so
was
it's not
heated by the heat.
up your house, and it's not okay.
All right. Well, this is fantastic in the summer, but keep in mind in February, this thing's going to make a draft.
Oh, really?
So you got to think these things through a little bit. It's got a condenser. You are putting a lot more parts in a single box.
Yeah.
All right, so, your appliance repair person is going to have to be up on this unit.
Well, these things are heavy, and they're generally taller because, they have to allow for all the extra moving parts.
You think like an over and under, but you think about the actual footprint is tiny. So if you live in a more efficient type area, and I'm thinking any number of friends of mine that live in Midtown, where they have small areas, you could ditch the washer and dryer and just go in with just this one unit, the footprint of only one appliance, and that buys you back quite a bit of room.
Well, hold on, Allan, because some models, they actually say you need some breathing room. I think it's because of that air movement you're talking about. You have to have a 4-inch. So it might actually be a bigger footprint in terms of the space you got to allow for. So,
but not the same size footprint as two side-by-sides.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we just gave you back, we gave you back 2 feet of space.
Mm-hmm.
If you live in an efficiency apartment, 2 feet of space is a lot of room.
Yeah, and you've got, if you're in a situation like mine with a closet where this thing would literally go in a closet, well, we have top shelves on the closet right now, and if you can still use those instead of using like a stackable system or whatever, so I'm still excited about it. I think overall we're on the right track, and I could see a day 5 or 10 years from now where these things just replace dryers. Where if they get to a point where they perfect it enough, why would you need 2 machines?
Well, And again, welcome to technology keeps marching forward. And somebody got really smart and went, we're going to steal some great ideas and put them all in one box.
There you go. So, well, hour one of Tool Talk Radio evaporated just like the moisture in these washer and dryers. But stay tuned for hour number 2.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning. We're with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline, 901-683-0989. And if you need recipe, recommendations, I guess that's one of our new services here, Allan. Gerald called in earlier, and
he was eating a biscuit.
Yeah, he wants to talk turkey with Allan about some kind of
literal turkey
meal plan for his next football game or whatever.
Absolutely,
so,
we got this.
Yeah, so Allan is happy. You know, he wears many hats: the food dude hat, the home improvement hat, and everything. And also, we've been talking about, well, today is Clean Your Floors Day. Somehow we got into a conversation about bacteria and the germs that we want to keep, and then the germs that we want to get rid of a bit. And also, we've been talking about these all-in-one washer and dryers. And with regards to that, Max, you said somebody else chimed in about that.
I mean, I guess you could say that.
Okay.
It was just Patrick again. Patrick is.
Don't say just Patrick. We value our listeners, Max.
Well,
okay. What did Patrick say?
All right. Sorry, Patrick. That wasn't part of the text. Anyways.
Yeah.
Crazy idea. Microwave dryer.
Actually already existed. Already been done.
Can I ask what's the feasibility of that? It seems intriguing, but I want to know the function.
It was actually a sterilization idea for a while that they could use microwaves, and it's still used by some companies to sterilize dirt. There you go.
Wait a minute. You're talking about a giant microwave. Okay, yeah. I feel like, for one thing, it would use a lot of power.
It does.
And what is the clothes? I feel like it would affect the fibers of the clothes. Like, it might make them stiffer or caramelize them or something. I don't know.
Let's just say it's not happy with metal buttons.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. What about Patrick? Are you trying to blow the house up or what? I forgot about that.
But it is an idea that has been tried.
Patrick's an adventurous guy. He drank creek water.
Yeah.
There you go, man.
Yeah. There you go. Now we're seeing the results. Decades of drinking creek water have led us to this.
As technologies come out, you try them and you see what they fall into and how well they work.
I'm not going to pull the trigger on the giant microwave for my clothes, but I am very tempted by the all-in-one washer and dryer. But let's move it along, you guys. So it's time for our must-have item of the week, which I'm holding up. The cameras are off today, so there's nothing for you to see, dear listeners. But this one is as easy to describe as you can. But tell people what I'm holding up, Allan.
You always need in your kit a good set of drill bits.
Now, this set is unusual. It's not unusual. This is, I would say, falls in the category of it only takes a little more to go first class. What I'm actually holding here, this is one of Allan's must-have items. It is a titanium set of drill bits with the hex shaft.
Absolutely.
I am a huge fan. So these are starting. This one starts at. You've got a tiny drill bit here. Looks like it's about a 1/16 of an inch, going up to about a 3/8 inch drill bit. The reason I like the hex shaft, if you're not sure what that is, folks, I mean, I'm sure most of us have a drill in our home, and these days we use them with the screwdriver attachments and everything. But you might notice that a lot of drill bits, especially when you start getting up there, from the 1/4 inch or bigger, if they have the round shaft, and you come up against resistance, like a knot in the wood, or if you're drilling through metal, it just starts spinning and it's not going through. But the hex shaft, I like, because for one thing, it's got more grip. But you made a very important comment about the hex shaft that I think you should share.
All right, sitting in my toolkit right now is the small drill, the medium-sized drill, and the cam hammer drill.
There we go.
So one of the big tools that has come out in the last few years is the cam action drill, or everybody affectionately calls it the hammer drill.
Right.
And that's the one that makes that loud every time you're doing it. Because what it's actually doing is it's reversing itself and then going forward faster than humanly possible.
Yeah.
What this does is it gives the material a moment, a breather. So cam action goes through harder substances better. Concrete.
Yeah.
Leaps to mind right there.
It reminds me of anti-lock brakes.
Yes.
It gives you a little break from the...
It does.
So it doesn't heat up.
And the cool thing, now, on occasion, now, most of the times, it doesn't matter for the stuff I do. But every so often, I got to drill through something, and the other side is going to be visible.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So, as we all know from even like small spade bits, they have a tendency to do what we call blowout. So they'll rip
or they
the wood.
they wobble. They can make triangle-shaped holes. They can do all sorts of...
They rip out that hole. And your cam... And I will freely admit, I am not actually a cam action drill fan because I think everybody uses them for too many things.
I do.
However, they will put a nice, clean hole through your substrate that doesn't blow out the back.
Right.
So that's why my drill kit is both.
Well,
working either one.
Exactly. The hex head, and especially if you've got one of those, like we said, I'm a total convert. I admitted it on the air. I burned out. That's how I killed Old Blue.
Yep. Finally burned him out.
I had a corded drill that I affectionately, named Old Blue. I've used him for 20 years. And building this big, giant carport project, drilling in, 3.5-inch deck screws over and over all day, finally blew out the motor. But the hammer drill gives you that little bit of hesitation, and it drills them right in. But also, I've never had better results boring large holes with that. So, yeah, I'm a total convert. And plus, the thing about the hammer drill, the downside is it only has the hex head on it. So you can't just stick a round drill bit in there. It's not going to work. So you have to. So more and more you're seeing these the hex shafts, I guess you could say. So I'm a big fan, and so that's definitely something you're going to want in your in your toolbox. So, all right, well, we're going to shift gears here, and
that's the most foul, cruel, and bad-tempered rodent you ever set eyes on.
I just wanted to hug.
Oh, rats in the kitchen, just like that delightful movie I taped in the theater.
I haven't had the opportunity to use this in a while, so thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, in keeping with our theme of small items that have a big impact, I just came across this photo on YouTube, and every now and again you come across some good posts, Alan. So but it showed a microscopic view of a mosquito's head. And folks, if you want to see what that looks like, we posted it on our Facebook page. It was very unexpected. I didn't know what I was looking at until I read the caption below it, Alan. But this thing, it's, for one thing, mosquitoes are much more colorful than I thought. There's all these green little, they almost look like green antennas. It looks like it's got about 100 eyes. It's got orange little sensor. It's got all these different things going on. And it just got me thinking about, we're always, I don't like to kill any living creature, but I also don't want mosquitoes sucking my blood.
Right.
And I don't want them swarming my backyard so I can't even go out there. But it really looked like we're up against a formidable opponent. And I feel like there's a real value to understanding your opponent if you're going to conquer them. But, Alan, what is going on with this thing? This mosquito's head is complex, but what sort of tools does it have at its disposal going on there?
Oh, this thing is something out of sci-fi.
Exactly.
It can sense heat, so it's got infrared. It has its own gas spectrograph, those little cute things all over its face. It can detect carbon dioxide.
Is that what a gas spectrograph is?
Yeah, well, it lets it smell the air, and it's looking for the scent of breath. So as you exhale, you're, putting out moisture, you're putting out chemicals from the inside of your body, and you're putting out CO2, which is why your best mosquito traps, the propane-powered ones, use CO2 as the lure. So the mosquitoes think it's you or your dog panting, and comes a running because it says buffet.
Okay.
So you've got a little critter here honed by millions and millions of years of experience and evolution to find a blood meal. Because she, and Max was right earlier, it is she is looking for the best possible nutrition for her eggs.
Okay.
And you are the best possible nutrition.
Well, that's just straight protein, right? Your blood?
Well, it's fat.
Your blood is fat?
Yes, we are lipids. We are the source of protein, sugars, salts, and fats, all in one happy little meal.
Madam Mosquito, I'm so flattered.
Okay.
Yes. So you had no idea you were such a bonsai for them.
But at the same time, you were talking a week or so ago about all the plants that there's natural things that can thwart the mosquito. And
Yes.
now that I'm seeing all these sensors and everything, it makes a lot more sense to me that you could use nature against them. You know,
the
said,
oils of a rosemary plant
Right.
now would mask some of the gases that they could pick up. So if the mosquito goes and I always find it funny because everybody buys the citronella plants and then they go, well, I saw a mosquito sitting on it. Well, and that's because it's undisturbed, but the oils given off by that plant may interfere with its ability to find you.
Okay. Well, if you want to go down an interesting rabbit hole, get on YouTube and look at the microscopic lifestyles of mosquitoes and other bugs out there. All right. Well, speaking of small items, when we come back in our Great Moments in Building History, we're going to talk about a masterwork of the the Astolat Castle dollhouse.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
There's something about an underdog that really inspires the unexceptional.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
I know what he's saying, but I also really don't know what he's saying. That guy's sort of an enigma. Anyway, welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. But if you say something well, people will listen. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989, especially if you want to let us know how you're celebrating Clean Your Floors Day. I mean, to me, it seems like there's only one way to do it, right? I mean,
or if you want to reminisce on whatever that sort of stuff happened in your childhood where you acquired germs.
Or what's the best stain that ever hit your floor? I mean, we've all heard of the grape juice on the white carpet or the whatever, but and maybe what's the best stain that you ever that you successfully cleaned. So we have a permanent stain on part of our hardwood, Allan, that the dog did, and I'm not going to get into further details. But anyway, let's that's on the table. There's a lot on the table, and we love to hear from you. 901-683-0989. All right, but I've been waiting for this conversation. It's going to be a good one.
Great moments in building history.
Although it's kind of weird, the idea of grown men talking about dollhouses.
Well, the thing is, Max, I don't know. We can't always just make it about ourselves. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I can't pretend I'm a huge fan of dollhouses. I always admire great craftsmanship, though.
I just like the quote from Red Foreman on that '70s show. He's like, I always thought Eric was the only one weird enough playing with dolls.
Those are action figures, Max. So yeah, but anyway, the thing is, we got to thinking about it, and I mean, I'm not saying this is the be-all and end-all of dollhouses in the world, although this one is rated right up there. It's one of the top dollhouses. It's called the Astolat Castle, and it was created it took 13 years to create. Most of the work was done by the miniaturist. Is that how you say it? Miniaturist? Miniaturist Elaine Dahl. Gosh, these names are hard to pronounce. But anyway, okay, let's get, Allan, this thing costs $8.5. Well, it's worth $8.5 million. I don't know what it costs, but just to give you a sense of what this looks like, and it tours. I will give them credit. They don't just keep it in their home for themselves. They put it on tour. Tens and thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of people have been able to see this in person. It's roughly worth $8.5 million, which makes that the most expensive home in the world by scale. It's $2,000 per square inch, It's 9 feet tall. It weighs 800 pounds. And at any given moment, there are 10,000 miniature items on display, which is only a third of the actual items they own. So they're constantly rotating it out. So this is what we're going to talk about today.
Can I just open with a little bit of a fun fact of where the name Astolat comes from?
Oh, yeah.
It comes from the Arthurian legends, which is what I was mostly curious about, because it comes from the maiden Elaine of Astolat, who had an unrequited love for Sir Lancelot. And so her famous story was she was set adrift on the River Thames after she died of a broken heart. And she was the mother of Sir Galahad, who was the only knight to win the Holy Grail in the Arthurian legends.
So she's a tragic figure.
She's a tragic figure, but she gave birth to quite a child.
Well, she's got a great dollhouse named after her, too, so it's not all bad. But, Alan, this thing, it's a castle, and it's articulated, which means you can swing the walls open and you can display it in different ways, because obviously you want to be able to see inside of it. But, I mean, miniature construction is its own thing. You got to keep it to scale. You got to make it, I don't know. It's interesting, I have to admit. The craftsmanship is fascinating on this. So,
all right, where to even start? All right, keep in mind that there are to scale. So basically, if a 6-foot person, lies in a bed, the bed needs to be about 7 foot. So basically, for every penny, a penny is 6 foot.
Right.
So just to kind of give you the scale. So looking at a penny, so if you had 2 pennies next to each other or 3 pennies next to each other, that's the size of the bed. And everything else around it, including the Bible that's readable by microscope.
Yeah, the books, there's a whole library of books that you can actually read. Now that's attention to detail.
All right, the one piece that they have in the gallery that gets me the most is the chess set.
Oh, yeah. I knew I saw that too.
There is just the most astounding, well-carved, very ornate chess set that is completely playable sitting on the table.
I'm amazed.
So the whole thing is less than the size of a penny.
Yeah.
So if you put a penny down next to it, the chess set would sit on it with all of the pieces, and each of the pieces is completely carved. Now, there is an entire industry of miniaturists around the world. I have seen I don't know if you've ever seen them or not, but I'm kind of a fan of rice statues.
No, you carve something out of a piece of rice.
A grain of rice becomes a complete statue. And there are practitioners of this art all over the world.
So these are the guys wearing the steampunk goggles that magnify everything.
Oh,
so
yeah,
you're working with tweezers and all these things. Wow.
Or how about the person that went to the effort to create the polar bear rug in the center
miniature
of the floor?
We should say, too, the lights work in this thing.
Oh, everything is completely functional.
Everything's fully upholstered.
The teapot is actually empty. It's actually a hollow teapot.
Do you think this will be Ant-Man's retirement home?
It'd be a great place for him.
He could pick so much worse.
Alan, I'm shocked, though. Maybe you're about to get to it, but all the liquor, all the wine bottles have actual wine and liquor in them.
Yes.
Now, how do you even do that? I mean, even an eyedropper
really carefully.
would...
Yeah, really, really carefully. You do things with micro pipettes, and they're corked and they're labeled, and there's even a very tiny, very accurate micro geode collection sitting on a shelf.
What's a geode?
A hollow rock. So it's got the crystals on the inside of it. Everybody's seen them in rock collections.
Right.
So, there's micro geodes cut, polished, and displayed on the shelf with the other curios. Now, this is a very Victorian looking home.
Sure.
There's just stuff everywhere. And it just goes to show that imagination and desire can allow you to do anything.
Well, I wanted to say something because what struck me, and I do think, let's see, I think it's 1/12 scale. Okay, so this thing's 9 feet tall. So if you made that times 12. What is that? Okay, so that, I believe it's like a 1/12 scale. Well, that's all well and good for the larger items. But, if the couch, if you accidentally made it 1/8 scale or whatever, it's not going to show. It's going to look weird and bizarre. This thing looks perfectly scaled, which I can't imagine the math involved in this. This is just like when we saw the Statue of Liberty. They started this by making an 8-foot version of the Statue of Liberty. Then they scaled up. Well, that's not easy. That's not like scaling up a cube or something. You're scaling up curved edges and all this stuff. And it's really a marvel of, you can't deny the craftsmanship involved here.
Well, when you look at it, if you go through their gallery, if you go to their website and go through their gallery, one of the things that will just shock you is the picture of iced tea sitting on the porch. Complete with ice cubes.
Yeah.
Complete with ice cubes. So you just have to picture how tiny you're working. Now, what does this have to do with Tool Talk? This has everything to do with Tool Talk because this is the level of craftsmanship that can go into any project.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, when you I was kind of one of those, when somebody whines to me and goes, oh, it's too hard to do. And I go, all right, how about make a 1/12 scale piano that plays?
Right.
You want a challenge? You want to tell me you can't go dig in the yard for a minute and put in a water feature that you actually want?
Right.
You go look at something like this. And if you want to get inspired and, work at the scale of your own home, but if you want to get inspired and just do what you can do, what a collection can do. And I'll actually tie into this week. I ended up having to decorate of a couple of rooms. I was the decorator. And it was like, okay, let's go to the warehouse and see what we got. And 2 hours later, we had beautiful demo rooms. So I'm looking at this and I'm going, I know that they actually have more than one collection that fills the home. There's like 3 of them.
Right.
So there's lots of pieces that they swap out. So every time you see this thing on display, it'll have different statues. It'll have a different
It's never the same
layout.
twice.
It's unbelievable.
It's impressive, and it's I guess it's one of those design philosophies too of there's a hidden treasure behind every corner. So you don't just glance at it and go, oh, this is nice. You could really spend hours appreciating this thing, or probably days and weeks. But miniature design, I just don't even know. There's a certain niche though of people that are really into this. I did learn some things about the artists that create this type of thing and the attraction that it holds for them and everything. So we might get into that a little bit, when we come back. But I found it a really fascinating study. And folks, if you get the chance, get out there and check out the Astolat Castle dollhouse. We'll have some parting thoughts, and then we're going to find out what Allan did this week. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Barnacles! What could be worse than a giant paint bubble?
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
I got something worse.
Yeah, stay tuned, everybody. Oh, my gosh. The world can change with one text, Max. So.
It's the stuff that happens off the air that's the best.
No kidding. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And just a reminder, you can also send pictures on that text line like our boy Deuce just did. And Max, Deuce, stay tight. We'll be with you in a moment because some people are eating their breakfast as well. But holy smokes, Deuce sent an epic photo on the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline. We're also going to get some parting thoughts about our great moments in building history. But before we do that, as long as we're talking about the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline, let's talk about the man behind that, Jay Hill.
I think you'd appreciate this.
He would, for sure. He'd appreciate the use of his hotline on this situation. But Jay is all about the exterior protection of your home, from roofing to siding to gutters to windows, and, of course, interior and exterior remodeling. They do it. They do it all. He's got a great team over there. We always like to talk about the exterior work that he does, and especially his roofing, because he is always 5 stars with the Better Business Bureau. He's a GAF, Master Elite Installer, and they don't just hand out those accreditations, Alan. You got to be trained. You got to be certified. There's precise ways that you install these, because these are actually roofing systems, and these systems are so efficient and so well made. For one thing, they're going to lower your utility bills because they make your house actually run cooler, but also they're so well constructed, they offer a lifetime transferable warranty. So if you buy a Big M roof, you should know that, and you say, we're selling the house in a couple years, that is a huge selling point. The new owner receives that transferable warranty. That is a major selling point with a home. But also what sets Jay apart is the fact that he is a former insurance agent, and really it's something he's come to specialize in. If you have your home is under assault from all the elements, from trees, from storm damage, from the sun just baking your home, and some of that damage may be covered by your homeowner's insurance, but that is not an easy process to navigate. You need an expert, and Jay Hill is that expert. He comes out. It's a free consultation, and if there's any damage that is covered by your homeowner's insurance, it's going to save you a lot of money, and he will help you navigate that process. Maybe you don't need a new roof, though, or maybe that isn't covered. Never fear, Jay's also got great financing as well. He works with 30 different lenders. He can get the job done, and he brings a real sense of optimism and excitement to every project he starts. I do think he does need to incorporate my idea, though, of bringing bagpipers onto the job site with him for that. I think that would add to the drama and the excitement of the project. So,
would they play "You're the Voice"?
I think, well, they have the introductory music when they march in with the dumpster and all
the prelude, yeah.
Right. And then at the end of it, maybe a peaceful type of, thing as they're fading out and pulling their trucks away.
Or like the bagpipe version of the 1812 Overture with cannons included.
Yeah. If you've got suggestions for Jay about how he can improve his business through the use of bagpipes, get in touch with him directly. You can call him on his cell phone at 901-484-5645. Or go to his website, bigmroofingandremodeling.com. I just had a quick thought about we were talking in our Great Moments in Building History about this Astolat Castle dollhouse. It was it's worth $8.5 million. Get on YouTube and check it out, folks. But what I discovered is there are a lot of enthusiasts with these, with these type of constructions. There's a clear divide, though, Alan. There is a divide between the people that think you should include dolls in the exhibit and those that shouldn't. I think and there's no dolls included as far as I could see in the in this dollhouse. I don't think you should, because to me, it's like you're telling the story for the viewer. I'd rather have somebody view something and let them decide what the story means. I don't know if you have strong opinions one way or another, but Al.
When you say there are no dolls in the dollhouse, I'll debate that with you, because there are dolls.
I didn't
in the
see them in this dollhouse. I'm saying in the
Astolat.
Yeah,
no, there are dolls in there.
Well,
there's not like Barbie sitting at the table, but there are teddy bears on the couch, and there are other micro dolls throughout the unit.
Oh, then I missed them.
Specifically remember them saying on one video that Merlin is at like the top floor, the wizard Merlin.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I missed that in the views I've got. Well, regardless, it's one of those things where people are divided on that, and it's, whatever side you come in on, it's fine. But I did have one thing that I wanted to say in parting. An offshoot of this is there are artists that make what we call dioramas, where it might be it almost looks like a picture frame, and maybe it's got a glass front, and it's 8 or 10 inches deep, and it's basically recreating spaces. I think dioramas are pretty cool, and I've seen them at more and more art galleries and things like that. What about getting a diorama of some rooms of your own house or something?
You're coming dangerously close to a relevant word later.
Okay, well, what? Anyway, we're gonna move along, but it's an interesting study, the Astolat dollhouse. Okay, well, Max, we got a text from our buddy Deuce, and we have to be very careful. We are not going to post the picture of this, but he actually posted something I think is highly relevant. And let's just say, because I know people are eating their breakfast, he sent us a very graphic photo of what happens when a dog.
No.
Go ahead, Max. Okay, be careful.
Okay, I want to just have the lead-up text.
Okay.
I was at work when wifey sent pics. I had to work late that day. Wink, wink.
Okay.
And let's just say
he
that
was at the bar. Okay.
Yeah. Let's just say that these photos are iRobot versus dog.
Okay. So we've all seen these Roombas.
Yep.
They roll around. Now, Alan, you told us that these Roombas have they start to map your floor, and they memorize where all the dirt is, and they go in their own pattern. Well, sometimes dogs decide to make a mess wherever they want. And when the Roomba attempts to clean that up, the results can be horrifying. Deuce sent us a picture of the underside of his Roomba, and it looks like the dog had a pretty bad accident.
I don't know. I'll say the dog felt better.
I wonder if anybody else has encountered this. Deuce, you live a weird life, man. What is wrong with you?
No,
we got some weirdos today. Creek water and Roombas.
Yeah, guys drinking creek water.
I got news for you. This is not new. This is not a new event.
Well, here's the conversation that emerged here, Deuce, out of this. And like we said, we are not as tempting as it is, we're not posting the photos of this.
Oh, you can picture what it looks like.
Just
you can imagine.
It looks worse than what you picture. But here's the question though, Alan. Okay, I personally, if my Roomba did this,
right.
I want that thing out of my house and out of my life, and I want to wash my eyes out. But the question is, we no longer just take appliances and throw them in the garbage unless you're Ron Swanson. Well, what do you do with a contaminated Roomba like this? I mean,
there are actually cleaning instructions for the eventuality that something happens.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
They take it all into consideration?
Yes.
Okay.
So they're... All right, the one thing a lot of people forget about electronics is that if you'll take the battery out or unplug it, you can wash it and clean it and let it dry completely and plug it back in, and it'll work.
Would you do this? I don't want that Roomba.
Would I or have I?
Okay.
I think
at some point you got to draw the line and just,
Here's my plan. That you got to immortalize the situation. I would dip the Roomba in gold and hang it on the wall. The heat would get rid of the contaminants, let's just say.
Okay.
All right,
that's my approach.
I'll have to introduce you to a jewelry line of quail droppings.
I will say this, not to beat this into the ground, Deuce, but
too late.
I think for the most part, the Roomba did a pretty thorough job of getting
it tried.
It didn't get everything up.
It went down fighting.
All right, we got to get out of here. We're really threading the needle here, but Deuce, that was one of the best uses of the Big M Roofing and Remodeling text line we've had in a long time. But in honor of good taste, we will never post these photos. We're going to burn these photos.
Man, we
Happy Clean Your Floors Day.
Absolutely.
No kidding. Boy, talk about a theme emerging here. So, all right, Alan, let's get out of this. Let's get out of this topic as fast as we can. Go ahead, Max.
Oh, the humanity.
All right, well, that signals that we're going to learn about what Allan did this week, which actually was nowhere near as shocking as what Deuce did this week. So I hope.
No, it's Deuce's wife.
Yeah, no
Deuce
kidding.
got lucky.
Yeah, I want to know what Deuce's dog's. Never mind. Just go ahead. All right, Allan, what did you do this week? It sounds like you had a pretty civilized week.
Well, I love how sometimes it's a theme, and other weeks are just as random as they can get.
Yep.
Of facility number one of numerous rooms with a variety of junk scattered through them, blah, 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 blah. And their marketing director comes to me and goes, "What are we going to do with all this stuff?"
Right.
And I'm like, "Wear tennis shoes tomorrow." Wear your
we're
tennis
putting
shoes
you to
tomorrow.
work.
So she and I ran around and basically just rearranged almost at random in the beginning. And then the theme suddenly appeared. And various asunder, just odds and ends and pieces of furniture suddenly became 3 very beautiful demo rooms.
It's interesting because we talk, for those that don't know, Allan is he does more commercial work. He also is in the healthcare field, so he's dealing with state regulations. We're always thinking of the technical aspects of what you do, but these facilities have furnishings, and furnishings can get dated, and they need updates, and they need, they need to freshen things up, and so that's a challenge in and of itself.
Well, and I will throw in, you and I have talked about this many, many times on the show, and I'm going to throw in, lighting is such a key.
Oh, yeah.
Swap out a few bulbs, update to some new LED stuff, refresh the lamp a little bit, and let me tell you something. We don't really talk about window treatments much on this show, but let me tell you something. You put the right window treatment in the right room, you get the colors right.
Oh, yeah.
And it utterly changes the whole room.
I think
it's inexpensive, it's easy, it's quick. I mean, honestly, it's a 10-minute change out. And suddenly that room goes from, what do they call it? Drab to fab.
I think there's some interior decorators out there standing up and applauding you, Allan, for that comment. So, all right, well, we're going to unpack the drama here. And hopefully not get it, I don't know.
Not get it on a
the
Roomba?
taste of Deuce's text out of our minds. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Ron, what was wrong with that one?
It was too perfect. It looked machine-made.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Nobody will ever accuse this show of being too perfect, I'll tell you that. Or being AI made. AI couldn't do this.
Oh, no.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio.
Although what we're talking about was AI made.
Yeah, all right. Thanks, Max. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning. Here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from darkoakmedia.com and our pal Max over there behind the glass. There's just enough time for a quick message. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline, 901-683-0989. We've run the gambit today, Allan. We had Gerald call in with a very civilized and informative conversation about the washer and dryer technology that's emerging, and then followed with right out of the gutter with Deuce's graphic. He sent us a picture of what happens when a Roomba tangles with the mess your dog left behind on the floor. But that lit up the text line again, Allan. You're getting some reaction to that.
I shudder to hear anybody top that.
Well, actually, my text line over here just went crazy. But the best text on it was the question from Deb about the Astolat dollhouse.
Yeah.
Basically, does it have plumbing?
Now, that's interesting. I don't know that I explored that. Does it have working toilets?
Well, if they had water in them, but is it plumbed to scale? Yes, it is.
It wouldn't take much to clog those drains either.
Well, it's a tiny little. It's a tiny.
Definitely
little house,
don't put rice down the drain on that one.
Yes. One grain is all it's going to take. But was it wired and was it plumbed?
Yeah.
The answer is yes.
There's something to that. I mean, whoever built this, they're definitely obsessed. They definitely have an obsessive personality.
It was built by Elaine Dial, and she and a number of her artisans and craftspeople from around the world are who designed and built the original everything in the Astolat dollhouse. And Miss Lois Freeman is the current owner. She owns 79 other houses like this.
Where the heck? Okay.
She's got 79 more of them, and she still has craftspeople that have seen the Astolat that are still making stuff to scale to see if it's good enough to go into the collection.
Oh, so yeah, exactly. Not everybody gets into the Astolat.
It's growing.
Huh?
You got to make. I mean, we're talking stuff like wall hangings, carpets, instruments, clocks, and
actual
stuff like
paintings.
that. of some of the furniture actually has gold inlay.
Yeah.
At 1/12 scale.
It's pretty interesting.
Astounding.
I'd love to go to one of these conventions or go because there's an enthusiast for every genre, every type of thing in the world.
It'd be you, the strong Viking, in a sea of like 80-year-old women.
I don't know. No, I bet it's surprising who's
everybody
into
goes
this.
to these things. Yeah. You would be shocked. But the fact that she has 80 miniature designed collectible houses.
Yeah.
That collection has got to be
store it.
Astounding.
I guess so, but holy smokes, you better have good glasses if you're doing this kind of work. So, but
yeah,
you're doing a lot of squinting in your life.
Oh, well, I'd be walking through with my phone on magnify. Going, that is so cool.
Well, hey, Alan, we don't want to run out of time. We were talking before the break, before all these interruptions about what you did this week, which sounds pretty, civilized. We were talking about the fact that you have facilities that could have 90 to 100 to 200 rooms. Well, the decorations can be dated, or they can, what do you do then? That's a big undertaking. So
so we tackled that, and the other big funny was I had a facility manager walk over to me, and she literally just grabbed me by my lapels and just said, "I have been waiting for 3 years for somebody to fix my front display."
Okay. The front display.
The first
display, thing you see when you walk in.
The dead center. And I walked down there and looked at it, and basically it had never been finished. So, the sign is up, the lights are up. It looks good, but I knew what she was talking about. So a quick trip down to the nursery, came back with a load of a flower called a vinca that was the color of the sign, and redid, and I planted all the way around the sign. And the night and day difference, and again, it's like the window hangers. It's like the window treatment. A relatively minor touch.
Right.
In the grand scheme of things, I didn't put in the bricks. I didn't build this thing. I didn't wire it. All I did was a little bit of mulch, a little bit of dirt, and some flowers, the proper color, and enough of them. And suddenly, the front of this place again went from you drive by it and never see it. Now you want to stop and take a picture.
Just a simple accent can set it off.
And this was not any, this was not any great hurdle. Just a few hours worth of work, a little bit of sweat, a little dirt, a little bit of flour.
All right,
everything. It made such a huge impact for relatively a low amount of work.
So the entryway, though, it's a neat idea too, because adding a few plants, it's kind of it's a transitional area, and you're bringing the outdoors in. And it's funny though, the right plant really does make a neat touch, especially inside, because it's not.
Yeah, but this is right there as you drive in. So instead of just seeing a big old sign saying, "Hey, you're here,"
right
now it's softened. It welcomes. It was a very similar effect to putting up the window treatment, because the room looked good.
Yeah.
But, a $40 window treatment later, honestly, 15 minutes worth of work, and this room was just absolutely astounding.
Absolutely. What are you laughing at, Max, over there?
Oh, I can't say.
All right. Max has gone down some weird rabbit holes today too. So, all right. Well, a nice way to finish to spend your week. It sounds too like some of the solutions for fixing the rooms just really involve moving some stuff and putting them in the right area, and maybe just updating a few little touches, right?
Well,
you don't have to get rid of everything. Just add a pillow.
Well,
or add
the first room, it took us about 2 hours of just pick it up and move it, pick it up and move it, pick it up and move it. I mean, it was one of those Dick Van Dyke comedy routines, where you move the table 12 times.
Right.
But when it was very funny, because when it dialed in, when we finally kind of got the theme of how the room was going to want to go, it just suddenly was like a Lego set. Now it was like, now the other rooms were easy because we'd already been through the fight.
Yeah.
Now we knew where the bed was going to go. We knew what color the the window treatment was going to be. We knew where the chair was going to go. We knew where the TV was going to hang. And it just reminded me that a great way to refresh a room at home is periodically just take a completely different view of it.
Right.
Declutter it a little bit and maybe shift it around a little. You know, every few years you have changed. What you do has changed. Might be time to rearrange a room or two.
I mean, that's what feng shui consultants do. They come in, they look at your whole house, and they say, well, why does that cabinet have to be in your dining room? Have you ever thought of putting it over here in the hallway? Or have you ever thought, really just looking at the big picture and rearranging, and boy, that saves you money too.
Reverse the door on the refrigerator so that it's easier to get into from where you actually get into the refrigerator.
Funny you should say that, Alan, because I was just having that conversation. We were, this laundry room that I built.
Right.
We need to move the door. I said, she was like, gosh, opening the door this way is going to be a hassle. I said, you realize we can flip this door over. We can move it to the other side. It opened up a whole new world. It's like, wow, okay, everything's got there's flexibility.
Not a big change, but it's such a huge impact.
Yeah, there's a lot of flexibility, with your appliances, with your furniture, everything. So I guess it's that legacy thinking. Just get away from legacy thinking. So
give it a shot.
What a weird show today, Alan. So, thanks to all our contributors out there, including Deuce. Hey.
Oh yeah, hey, guys, keep those texts and pictures coming. We really do appreciate it.
And you
can, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. All right. Well, you hear the music. We're out of time. You've been listening to another wacky episode of Tool Talk Radio. Exactly. So on behalf of my buddy Alan Gilbreth and our pal Max over there behind the glass, I'm Joe Thorderson. Thanks for listening to Tool Talk Radio, and we'll see you next week.